You in here? Fresh out of the freezer. Fresh, guess I was freeze up. Fresh out of the deeper freezer, cause I'm deeper than any voice on speakers. I can't hear y'all haters, you gotta speak up. I don't need to slow down, I need to speak up. Anonymous activity, body beat stuff. Jealousy's a ski mask, emotion, and ease up. Fresh out of the freezer. Fresh, guess I was freeze up. Fresh out of the deeper freezer, cause I'm deeper than any voice on speakers. I can't hear y'all haters, you gotta speak up. I don't need to slow down, I need to speak up. Anonymous activity, body beat stuff. Jealousy's a ski mask, emotion, and ease up. Fresh out of the freezer. Fresh, guess I was freeze up.
Welcome to the Ultimate DJ Music Review and More Talk Show. I am your host, Miss Tosh B. And shoot, y'all don't even know I was about to sleep until a little while ago. I was trying to get it together. I had to hurry up and jump out here. Wait, any crust in my eye? Ain't no crust in my eye, right? I was trying to get that together before I got here. But anywho, we have a very special guest, one of my very dearest and beloved, and Dr. CORRIE Terry. And so I want to give her an opportunity to get on here and give her give you guys a chance to know her really quickly. I know she's in the background somewhere. I see her keep jumping in and out. So I know she's here. So you guys, Dr. CORRIE Terry to the stage. Hey, where'd she go? She coming back, y'all. But in the meantime and in between time, we also have Dr. Tissa Muhammad coming next week. So we were trying to run a series of doctors as we go along. And I wanted to begin off with Dr. Terry, who's coming with her own show as well. So anyway, we're going to try to pop her back in. Okay. All right. Hey.
Hey, can you hear me?
I absolutely can hear you.
Hi.
Howdy do? What you doing?
Well, I'm actually trying to stream it so folks can see it on Facebook. So give me a second. I don't know why I'm feeling a little bit challenged today with this, but you know, hello all.
The computer always do it to me. So if you feel like it's just you very wrong.
Well, what I'm going to do is go outside on my porch and because I love doing stuff on the porch. Can you see me?
Yes, absolutely. You're looking beautiful, girl.
Thank you, love. So just give me a second to do this. To reconnect, has lost your Facebook, to reconnect your disconnect. Okay, this is a lot. This is a lot. Let's see if it'll do it. No, it didn't do that. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, Tosh. I don't mean to take up your time with this.
That's all right. Why you doing that?
You never believe I have a master's in informatics the way this thing is acting up. Okay, so hold on. I'm just gonna go outside.
You frozen. Oh, there you go.
I'll be there in a second.
Yeah, so
hey, there I am.
So you can tell the people who you are.
Okay, my name is Dr. CORRIE Terry. I am a New York native living in beautiful North Carolina, outside of Greensboro. I currently work in a hospital system down here as a UR specialist. I have a doctorate in health administration and leadership, and a couple of masters in different things, nursing, informatics. You know, I just like learning stuff. So,
what does UR mean?
Utilization review. So I'm what they like to call a money nurse.
What
So
does
what
that
I
mean,
do
money
is
nurse? Tell me that. Help me
I
understand
review
that.
I review patient information and help doctors to make decisions about status of care.
Okay.
So that it's about making sure we get those dollars coming into that hospital.
Yeah, yeah,
So
because you free.
yeah, so we I
Absolutely.
I interact with doctors, leadership, and payers, the
Okay.
insurance companies and stuff. Boring
Okay.
stuff, but necessary.
That's all right. Because I have drafted up a couple of good questions for you. I don't know how if you know how this show works. Usually I tell everybody how this show works.
Hmm.
Um, I ask about five random questions that are
Hmm.
specifically tailored to you. Um, and after that, then we get a chance to just kick it for the after the few questions, right? And usually the questions take about a good 20 minutes or so. And they usually loosen up the area a little bit so that we can get into our clown session. So you ready for the questions?
Can you still hear me, Todd? Okay.
Yes, I can still hear you.
I didn't know what was going on here. I'm doing this
Yeah,
from
you
my
going
phone
in and
because I
out,
didn't.
but you there.
Okay, I'm doing this from my phone because I did not want to sit in front of the computer.
Oh, but that's okay. You going in and out, but you here.
Am I still going in and out? Wow, that's
Yeah, your
crazy.
your screen just went out. There you go. Can you hear us?
Oh, I absolutely can hear you. I sure
Okay.
can.
Okay, you ready for our five questions?
I'm ready, girl. I'm ready.
Okay, five questions. The ethics of care. Now, I know that you're not just a doctor, you're also a community activist. So I worded this in two different ways. I worded it toward the doctor and then for the community activist. Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. The bulk of my doctorate centered around my thoughts centered around equity and care, specifically towards people of color, and how to get more people of color in positions in healthcare where they could help make the difference.
Okay,
Um,
so question number one, the ethics of care. For the doctor, how do you balance the ethical principles of autonomy, beneficence, non maleficence, and justice when treating patients? Can you? Oh, you popped out? There you go.
yeah, I'm back. Mhm.
Okay. Did you hear the question?
No, ma'am. Can you read it? Tell me it again.
It says for the doctor, how do you balance the ethical principles of autonomy, beneficence, non maleficence, and justice when treating patients, especially when these principles conflict with each other?
Well, first of all, any healthcare professional, whether they're a doctor, nurse, or even a tech working on the floor, needs to be mindful of the fact that you're there to take care of someone. And so, first, do no harm. And one of the ways we cannot do harm is to make sure that we are not being judgmental in our care. I myself have, at one point in my career as a nurse, I worked on a prison unit in a facility in Albany, New York. And I got to tell you, that was hard, because you had people coming in who had already been sentenced. They were guilty, um, some of them of crimes that just were really horrible. But when you walk in that room, it's not the crime that you're treating the patient.
Yes.
And I think that what gets lost in the translation, Tasha, is when people come in the door. I think sometimes healthcare professionals forget to look beyond that face and to just treat the disease, treat what's coming in the door.
Yeah.
Um, I myself have been as a patient um, treated, I believe, based on my skin color, and I have also worked next to people who I believed were treating folks based on their skin color. You know, quite often you
Yeah.
go in the hospital as a person of color with a pain issue, and the first thing they want to talk, you know, they want to treat you like you're an addict. You just come in
Yeah.
there seeking
Yeah.
drugs,
Yeah.
but you're in pain, and pain is a symptom that something's wrong with your body, and it needs to be addressed. Um, so yeah, you know, those characteristics are conflicting, but they need to be moved to the side. You know, you need to always be in a beneficent type of mode. Like what I do, I went to school, I got this education so that I can help people.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's not in school. It didn't say you only help black people, you only help white people, you only help Asian people, you only help women, you only help men. No, it's everybody. You need to be on board to help anybody and everybody that shows up at that facility for you. And even if you're not working patient facing and having to like actually, you need to be, if you're in an administrative position, you need to make sure that there's policy in place that is solid, that guides how the care is given, so
Yeah.
that when somebody is treated not well and they come to you, come to the hospital or the organization with a complaint, you need to have a policy in place that addresses their complaint and assures the patient and the community at large that you and the organization that you're working for are doing everything to ensure that the care that is given is the appropriate care, and the right person giving it.
Well, shoot, they got the right person. If they got you in charge of doing stuff like that, they got the right person.
Well, I'm working on it.
Now, for the community activist, same question, the ethics of care. In your activism, how do you ensure that your actions benefit the community while respecting individual autonomy and avoiding unintended harm?
You got to listen to the people in the community. The reason I became a community activist was because I was a community member and I saw things that were going on in the community that were just not right. And I felt like we weren't getting what we needed for our community. I lived in an urban space in Albany, New York. And what triggered my community activism was the number of gun violence murders that occurred in a 6 block radius of my home. At that time, it was about 30, where you actually could see these memorials. That's what
Yeah,
struck me. It was like folks
yeah,
had put up the
yeah,
memorials with the bottles and the flowers and the candles and things. And I was like, why is there so much murder going on here?
yeah,
Why are black people killing black people and cops killing black people? And, you know, it just triggered something in my spirit. Prior to that level of activism, prior to starting Mothers Against Murders and Shooting, which was the group that I had in Albany, I still have it, but I'm not as active down here, and I'll talk about that later. But prior to that, I also was working in the community because I believed that that our children were not getting the appropriate education, that a black child versus a white child, the first thing you'd hear is, okay, we're going to put them in detention, we're going to suspend them, we're
time
going to
out.
expel them, just preparing them for prison.
Yeah, timing them out. Yep.
Not even timing them out. They were I felt preparing them for prison. And if you take a deep dive into Michelle Alexander's
No,
The
you
New Jim Crow,
that starts in the fourth grade. They start them right from
it
fourth
starts
grade right to
before
prison.
it starts
Yeah,
before that. They start
yeah,
separating out children in the womb. You
yeah,
know, they start tagging them and separating them in the womb. The type of care that you see given to a black child with ADHD is infinitely different than the type of care you see given to a white child with ADHD. Just like you see in the opiate crisis, like heroin is a demonic criminalized drug, right?
yeah,
Same effects but it has the same effect on the body as these. medication drug, prescription drugs, the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
opiate effect.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
opiate, the folks who are getting the opiates, were given, oh, you got a problem. Let's get you into treatment. The black people of color who were caught with heroin were incarcerated.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's really wild when you look at the fact that our next the next person sitting in the White House could be a convicted felon.
yeah. Well,
And I'm like, well, if you're gonna
we
put a
we'll
convicted felon in the White House,
we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. Let's
yeah.
get to question number two because it kind
No,
of goes
question
right
number
into
two,
what you're. Yeah, it goes
question
right
number
into
two
what
or
you were
three.
just saying. Number
I thought
two.
this was okay.
No, because remember, you're doing a two-part question. You're doing as a
Oh,
doctor and
okay,
as a
yeah.
community activist. So health
Got you. Got you.
as a human right for the doctor. To what
Hmm.
to what extent do you believe that access to healthcare is a fundamental human right, and how does this belief influence your approach to provide medical care?
Okay. I believe that this country is missing the opportunity for everybody to be well. And in order for everybody to be well, everybody needs to get the same kind of health care. Now let's dial the clock back to 2020
Yeah,
and the epidemic. How is it we can provide a vaccine for everybody in this country if they choose to have it, but we can't provide simple, basic health care to everybody in this country? Make it make sense. It doesn't. And those vaccines were expensive. But they were giving them away free. So if you lean into the fact that everybody should has a right to be well and everybody should get wellness, why don't we lean into a unified health system,
Eh,
one health system that covers everybody?
girl, ain't
So
no goddamn
Medicaid,
money in that.
Medicare for everybody.
You hear me talking about girl, ain't no goddamn money in that. You must be kidding me.
It's not, but it shouldn't be about money.
Yeah, but
Capitalism
that
in this country,
yeah,
capitalism overrides everything. So
yeah,
it's always going to be about the dollar. And there's a lot of money in cancer
yeah,
and diabetes and
yeah,
hypertension.
yeah,
Not money for the people who have these diseases, but money for the people who are treating them
yeah,
and providing them,
absolutely.
and the pharmaceutical companies and everything. And I might get some blowback about this, but I do believe that the people who run this country are the people who control wellness and the people who control information,
You
which
think
is
you're gonna
why
get some blowback? You should have seen Frank's interview a couple weeks ago because he told on all the people about the water and the plastic and the PFOs and the PFAs, and he told on everything. He told about everything,
well, the
PFAS.
pharmaceutical companies are not. They're pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies are only in the game to get paid. So you paying all of this money. Let's just say once a month you make $15 an hour. You got 3 kids, and once a month or twice a month you got to pay $300 for your health insurance. And
Yeah,
then in order to use that health insurance, you got to go to the doctor and pay
specific.
another copay. You got to
Yeah,
pay a
specific
copay on it.
doctors.
And but you gotta pay a copay, and then they tell you what doctors you can go to and what
Uh-huh.
doctors you can't go to.
Yep, specific doctors.
And
Absolutely.
then once you pay the copay, when you go to get the medication, you got to pay for the medication and the taxes on that medication.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people
And,
who
and and
are
then a lot of times what happens, sorry for interrupting you, Corey.
no, you're
And then
fine. Go ahead.
a lot of times what happens in that process is that the medication that they give you, you need 4 more medications for after you take it.
It definitely can happen. I mean, in my own personal experience, in 2019, I went into the hospital. I was a patient in
That's
the
a hell
hospital
of
for two
that's a
weeks.
hell of a hustle.
I was in the hospital as a patient for 2 weeks, And prior to that, I was on medications for chronic illnesses that I really believed that I had.
Yeah.
And even though I might have had them, they could have been managed into wellness, but they were just being managed as chronic. And
Yeah.
most of us, when we get these illnesses, we think in our mind, oh, I'm going to be sick like this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I was a very sick woman and everything. But the problem was that my medications were not being managed appropriately. And here's the thing, if you don't know how to advocate for yourself and you don't have someone to advocate for you, you're not going to get the quality of health care that you deserve.
Yeah.
That's
Help.
inside or out of the hospital.
Okay, well, let's go into for the community activists. How do you advocate for the recognition of health as a human right within your community, and what challenges do you face in this
Education.
advocacy?
It's about education. It's about, first of all, in communities of color, there's the white coat syndrome. They basically they don't align with the doctors. They don't trust them. And why should they? Um,
I've told a lot of people that. I actually had that conversation with Frank Carbone Jr. I told him, I said, black people don't trust white people.
it's
What
not
did,
just white people. They don't trust doctors.
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, the doctor could be any color and they don't trust them. And it's because healthcare has failed to meet the mark when it comes to the care. Look, you still got, no matter how wealthy a black woman is, she is still 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than a white woman.
yeah,
A black baby is 10 times more likely to be born premature or to lack the adequate prenatal care that they're supposed to get as opposed to a white baby. I mean, let's keep it real.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there's still a fight for equity in healthcare. The disparities are almost insurmountable, and it's not just black people versus white people. It's
yeah,
healthcare professionals versus people of color and indigent populations.
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
come in there without insurance, that's the first thing. Recently, um, I was assisting a family member. She was in the last stages of her life,
yeah,
and I was assisting her as a healthcare proxy. And when I tell you the nightmarish crap. I mean, there was a point where the nurses were flat out lying to me. I wasn't there physically, but I was on video conference, and I'm asking them questions. And I know they could tell by the way I was asking the questions that I had to have some medical background.
yeah,
So
yeah.
finally, I was like, just get me a doctor. And my daughter, my little 9-year-old, happened to walk past me on the phone, and she said, Mom, why you don't just tell them you're a doctor? Because you don't always want to tell them, because they're going to flip the switch and change up when you
Mm-hmm.
tell them that.
You
And then
want
the
them to
next thing,
be who they like.
right.
Show me who you are.
So I mean, it was a lot of stuff going on. It was a lot of things going on. Um, I, at one point, I was yelling at a nurse, like, "Are you
Yeah,
freaking kidding me?" And you just want to see them do the right thing. You want to see them give the good care that they were trained to give, and for them to do it because. And then in the other bed next to my family member was, guess what? A white woman who was
yeah.
off the chain,
A lot of them
screaming.
don't. Yeah, a lot of them don't go in for the purpose of care, though. They go in
Oh, honey,
for
you
for
got
the
so
for the
many on
career. Yeah,
black and white
yeah,
who are only in it trying to get money. And I got to tell you that the best nurse is the broke nurse.
yeah,
Because she ain't there to get the money. She there to take care of the patient. But you
yeah.
got people that come in there and no, they're not there. I've spoken on it several times. Sometimes people will listen, sometimes they don't. But I say to anybody, if you're trying to go into healthcare to get paid, then you're going in it for the wrong reason.
Okay, which leads us into number three, the role of empathy for the doctor. How
Mhm.
important is empathy in the practice of medicine, and how do you cultivate and maintain it into your in your interactions with the patients?
Again, it goes back to being beneficent. You know what I'm saying? That
Yes,
you are tasked with bringing a person who is outside the realm of wellness back to wellness, or as close to wellness as you can get them. So when
yeah,
you're working with that person, you need to not, we get people that come in, and I mean, I myself have been called the N word, and I don't want that, such and such and such. When I
yeah,
walk in the
yeah.
room,
Don't
when,
touch me.
when I walk in the room, it's about me taking care of the patient. It's not about me dealing with it. So you can't make it about you. It can
Yeah,
never be about you. And you have to have empathy for not just the patient that you're treating, but their extended family and the people that are coming to the hospital to see them. You have to open yourself up to being available for the healing across the whole continuum. So when you have someone sitting in that bed and you walk in the room and you start making generalizations about that person. Okay, you got a 25-year-old who comes in with a gunshot wound. What's the
yeah,
first thing they thinking? Gang member, drug dealer, all of that. Not
yeah.
thinking that quite possibly this just could have been somebody walking down the street who
Accidental. Yep,
randomly got shot.
yep. Accidental.
You
Yep.
know, don't make assumptions. Empathy is about being open to seeing this person holistically and healing them holistically, not just that one wound that they come in there with, and stop making opinions about what that person is and who they are and what they need. It's not about you. Take the you out of it. That there is no you in empathy at all. There's no
Okay,
you in it. You got to take yourself out of the situation.
so for the community activist, how does empathy shape your approach to community activism, and how do you foster empathy among diverse groups to create a unified movement?
Now, when you see, and I've done this, I've been involved in community action and getting people together, mobilizing people for the greater effort. And I've worked with some amazing people, rich, poor, black, white, brown, Asian. I tell you, we became like family. It's a
Yeah,
common goal. In order to get to where you want to be, you have to set the common goal. You know, what do we want to do? We want the city to take a look at these boarded up houses and recognize that we have a growing rate of homeless people. So how do we turn that around by actually sitting down at the table with homeowners and, you know, all stakeholders, bring everybody to the
yeah,
table.
yeah, yeah,
Empathy in the community means everybody's invited to the table. Everybody may not need the same amount to eat, but everybody should have a seat at that table.
yeah.
Nobody should be X'd out. And I think it's really important that, specifically in policing our communities, that the police be from our communities, not external. I think it's hard when you bring somebody in and have them sitting down trying to create policy or trying to police a community that they have no stake in. You understand? So
Yeah,
they're not going to give what is needed, 100% of what is needed. Because if you ask most police officers who work in urban settings, oh, my goal is to make it home tonight. That should not be your goal. Your goal going into this community should be the safety of the community, building of the community, creating relationship with the community so that you can decrease the criminal factor in the community by acknowledging the needs of the community. But no, they
well,
just want to make it home safe. So
now let
hence
me say
the
this to
gun
you. Now
comes
let
out.
me say this to you, because I've also been in that community activism field for a long time, for
Mhm.
a long time, to the point where um the mayor was telling me I couldn't get the help that I needed from the people because I was making City Hall look bad single handedly.
City
So
Hall make itself look bad, but
yeah,
that's another
I know that,
conversation.
but let me say this to you about what happens with the police department, right? Is that these are not peace officers. When they bring these people in, um these are not peace officers. These are more like corrections officers. So they come in to correct the situation. And
Well,
and
let me
and
let me
and the,
let me.
wait a minute. No, I'm
Mhm.
explaining it to you. I'm telling you because I had to get up close and personal when they did it, right? And President Obama has set something down. But we need to wait. Let's get through these questions first and then we'll get into that. Let's get through the questions first.
Well,
Because
I just want to touch on the point that I was actually a part of the Albany City Police Advisory Committee, and that was a group that was started in Albany and has since spread nationally. Actually, is recognized in the Museum of Law Enforcement in Washington D.C. Our group is actually recognized, and I could tell you that if they followed that model, if that model was to be embedded in every police force in this country, it would change how people view the police. Not immediately, but it would set the groundwork to change how police view the community and help the community and certainly how people view the police. But go ahead with the questions because
justice
I
and
can go on all day long.
yeah, justice and equity. That's what I'm saying. We'll be able to kick it a little bit more after the
Right,
questions.
right.
Justice and equity for the doctor. In what ways do you address social determinants of health in your practice, and how do you advocate for a more equitable healthcare system?
Well, from where I sit, um, I look at how people are paying when they come in the hospital. So you have different levels of pay. You have self pay, which is somebody who's coming in who probably doesn't have insurance for whatever reasons. Then you look at some. Okay, there's a little bit too many bugs over there in that area. Then you look at.
They just trying to
Um,
say hi.
oh no! If
They
I
just
could
trying
see
to say
their eye,
what up. What
if I could see their eyes, it's a bit much.
up?
Um, so I'm just coming in here to find some of my bug go away spray because the kids are in here. But you guys want to go outside and grab me a can of bug spray in the big can? Okay, bring it on outside. All right. So how do you ensure? Give me that question again.
In what
'Cause I want to make
ways
it.
do
Mhm.
you address social determinants of health in your
Okay, in the
practice?
healthcare setting, in the healthcare setting,
Yeah, in
for
healthcare
me,
system.
for me, it's absolutely um you can't make it about a person's ability to pay. Now I told you in the beginning when you asked me what I do in the hospital, I work on the revenue side of things. So hospitals are not in business to go broke. That ain't helping nobody. But there are laws that are in effect that assure that if somebody comes to that door, there's policy in effect that if somebody comes to that emergency room door, we have to treat them regardless of their ability to pay. That law is called EMTALA, Emergency Medical Treatment Liability Act, and that I might be saying the L wrong, but that particular policy and that law, which is a government sanctioned policy, says that if somebody shows up at your hospital and you don't care for them, you can start losing government funding.
Mhm.
And a lot of organizations run specifically, and not for profits, especially run on government funding. So the government itself has said you have to take care of these people, regardless of their ability to pay, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their gender. Hospitals cannot deny you care based on your race, your gender, your ability to pay, any of that, your religious beliefs, any of that. They have to care for you
Mhm.
when you come through that emergency room door.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they don't get paid. So that's one of
I
the
see a
key
lot of them
factors.
turn people away though. I've seen a lot of them turn people away.
Yeah, and it's illegal. But if you don't say they turned you away, how do we know?
And then we're gonna get into that too later on. So for the
Hmm.
community activists, number four, same question for the activists. How do you tackle issues of social justice and equity in your community, and what strategies to use to engage those who are the most marginalized?
Okay, first of all, you got to get boots on the ground.
Yeah,
You can't change stuff for people if you don't know what they need changed.
yeah,
And one of the things I found in activism that there were a lot of people who were advocates and activists who were not engaging enough with the community. They had the right thoughts and the right ideas and they were heading in the right way. But in order to help somebody, you got to know what they need help with. You can't
absolutely.
just go barging into a community and say, oh, we're going to tear down these buildings and we're going to put a garden over here. Well, we don't want no freaking garden
Yeah,
unless
yeah,
you're going to plant food in it, you know.
yeah. Unless it's free to community.
Right. So, I mean, and again, I met some amazing folks when I was doing community activism, who really wanted to help. But sometimes I would find myself so frustrated with them, with their verbiage and what they were saying. You know, you can't help a community that you're afraid of. If you're not willing to go out into that community after 7 o'clock at night, you're not the one to help.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not. You know, you got to step back and take a look at what you're bringing to the table. And I always say this is one of my sayings, like, you can't sit down to a table with brothers from Islam and bring a pot of chitlins.
yeah. I'm gonna
Who
make
you
you laugh.
feeding?
I'm gonna make
Who
you
you
laugh
feeding?
later on. I'm trying to tell you, you're gonna die laughing because I got a story that'll have you crying, laughing. Like, what the hell?
It's
Like,
like who are you feeding? You
what you show up for?
right. Who did you come here to serve? It looks like you're trying to serve yourself because you
You
didn't bring what's necessary to feed those who are at this table. And again, it goes back to
show up for?
knowing the players. You need
Yeah.
to know the players. When I was out there working against gun violence, I got out there and introduced myself to the people who were most likely to either carry a gun or be harmed by a gun.
Corey,
I didn't hide
I went right to the dude who was selling the guns.
to the source. You
Cause
gotta you gotta go you gotta go to the
I'm one of the
source.
hood captains. You get
You
what I'm
gotta
saying?
go, you
And me
gotta
being one
know
of the hood captains, I'm going
right.
right to the dude selling the guns. And I said to
Exactly.
him,
You
if
gotta
you
know,
give me
you gotta
your
know the
brother,
community.
I'm gonna give you
Otherwise,
the
what are you doing
opportunity.
here?
I'm gonna give you
Right,
the opportunity to turn in this gun on your own. But looky here, if your brother gets shot, I'm gonna tell on you.
right.
You get what I'm saying? If
Absolutely.
your brother gets shot, who I love, I'm gonna tell on you.
Listen, don't even get me started with that whole snitch mentality. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm telling on everybody. I'm
Lananda
telling on
said,
everybody because
great
I
point, Dr.
I
Terry.
am not going to jail
Hey,
for
Lananda.
you. And I know damn well that you're going, hey Lanetta, how you doing? That is one of my cohort from
Uh-huh.
my doctoral program. Yeah.
I
Um,
want her on it. I'm glad she here. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah,
so
Corey.
you have to be intentional about what you're coming to do when you're coming into a community, when you're in a hospital and you're working on that floor or you're working in administration or something like that. You have to be intentional, and I think the it gets lost in the transfer of intentions. Like
Yeah.
people will come into this medical thing with the intentions of changing the world, and then after a while all they care about is their retirement fund, their money, and
Yeah.
their kids' education and things like that. And all of that is good and well and good, but just remember why you came to the table in the first place.
Okay.
You know, go ahead.
Now let's get into our last question. Let's get into our last question because then we can just talk. The
Hmm.
concept of a good life. For the doctor, how do you define a good life for your patients, and how does this definition influence your medical decisions and patient care?
It's all about wellness. It's all about optimal wellness. It's all about when that person shows up to you, whether it's a mental condition, a
Yeah,
physical condition, when that person shows up and needs the care that they need, you have to be 100% involved in what you are providing to that patient. You can't just say, oh, let me give them a couple of pills. Again, going back to 2019 when I was in that hospital, I noticed when I was laying in the bed that there were medications that they did not give me that I had been taking for about 8 years. And I'm taking this medication and I'm still sick, Tosh. Like, why am I sick and I'm taking the medications the way I'm supposed to be taking? The reason was because the doctor wasn't present for my care.
yeah,
He was just writing prescriptions. Oh, I'll see you in the next 6 months. Well, if you got somebody who was on the type of medications that they had me on at that time, you need to be seeing them more often than 6 months.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's just like how the opiate epidemic got out of hand because you had doctors just writing scripts.
yeah,
Just writing scripts. They're not even looking at the patient. They're not even paying attention if this person is sick or not. They're just writing prescriptions, sending them home.
yeah,
You know, and a lot of times the folks who were getting the meds didn't need them,
yeah.
really didn't
Well,
need them. So I think as you know, since it's a two-part question, let me finish the first part. From a medical point of view, invest in the wellness of those patients the way you invested in your education,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
let it carry
Yeah,
over.
absolutely, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
and then when you get to that place where you're no longer just taking care of patients, but you're actually in a position to create policy, make sure that the policy fits the plan that you have in your mind for the organization. Make sure it's not just about money, but it's actually branching out into community and servicing all of the stakeholders, regardless of
Yeah,
what their level of interest is.
yeah. Doing a
And
little
then
bit more than what you're doing. That's right.
lastly, when you look at from a community side, so you saw that there were potholes in the street in front of your house. You made enough noise for them to fix the potholes in front of your house and the next four houses. But what about the potholes around the corner? What about the potholes up the street? You know, so don't just get involved with things just to satisfy your interests. Make sure that it branches out and it covers everybody's interest.
Yeah, the
You know what I
community, the
mean?
entire community.
The
Yep.
entire community. I just see so many different sectors being built. Like you could go to an urban setting in any state and you'll find like nothing less than about two or three hundred um, not for profits. And basically, these folks are sitting down, they're writing these grants, they're getting this money and everything. But what are you doing for the community?
What you mean?
What are you doing for the community?
What you mean?
You writing grants, you getting the money, but what are you doing for the community? You know, Tasha, there's a lot of people out there that are siphoning up and sucking up that government money for their not-for-profits, and they're not doing a damn thing for the community. Nothing.
And then there are some of them who are actually losing their funding because they can't do for the community because the community won't even come get it.
That's
You get what I'm
because there's
saying?
no relationship.
Yeah,
Don't go
that's what I'm saying.
again,
I'm
don't go
telling you,
out there,
it's
don't go out there and create a not-for-profit or a group or something like that, and you have not went out into the community and asked them what they need yet. Because they're
yeah.
gonna turn around and tell you, I ain't asked you to get me no bread. I don't need no damn bread. Maybe
Well,
I needed cheese.
now that our 5 questions are over, we can just kick it now, right?
Okay.
Now, what I
Hmm.
was trying to say to you concerning the police situation is that a lot of times they don't let loose peace officers on us in the community. Peace officers are there to bring peace to the community, right? They
Hmm.
they what they bring are uh um I'm sorry. She says Lananda is saying something over here. I'm sorry, baby. Over here on the side in the chat. But what they
She's
bring
saying
to us is
relationships matter.
called,
Relationships matter.
yeah, what she was saying, that's facts. But what
Mhm.
they're called are corrections officers. What they send to the community is called a corrections officer, not a peace officer. Now, had they sent peace officers to the community, then they would be there just to facilitate peace.
Okay, let's take a deeper dive into that. Now you go. Let's go into an upper class. Now, where I live is very bucolic. I wish I could turn the camera around so you can see it. Where I live is very bucolic. Very calm, peaceful. You're not going to see patrol cars going up and down our street. One
Yeah,
time you really see the police come out here is when something actually happens.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, Not too long ago, my neighbor murdered his wife. Not too long, but when we first moved over here, the other neighbor shot his wife and shot a peace officer
Peace, Loretta's only. There you
and
go.
himself
Look at
and
there,
himself.
Corey. There go
Mhm.
Loretta's only in the building. I told him about your mom named Loretta.
Yeah, that was my mom. That's my
He said,
mom.
he said, what's
So
up? His mom
I'm
too.
not going to be an activist in this community because this community doesn't need the type of activist that I am.
Yes,
You
yes,
know, this community doesn't need somebody to stand between the police and them and say don't shoot,
yeah,
because over here they don't shoot. The police don't shoot them. I mean, literally, the policeman got shot and ain't nobody shoot him up. Ain't nobody shoot the man up. He shot his damn self, but he ain't killed nobody. But still, if that was in a black community, the same set of circumstances, it's highly likely that the black um person committing that crime or she wouldn't have walked away alive. Definitely would
yeah.
not have walked away alive.
That's because they don't send MP
Because, and that's
into our
exactly
community.
right. And again, we go back when we go back and look at the 13th Amendment.
Thank you, bro.
The
We
third
appreciate you.
the 13th the 13th Amendment was created to keep us in our place. It
Yeah.
wasn't created to give us any liberties or any freedoms. And it's not about when they send police into communities of color and indigent communities, they're not, like you said, they're not peace officers. They're not even correction officers because they ain't trying to correct us. They're just trying to keep us in our place. Stay in your place. No, I know you have a degree, Miss Terry. It's Dr. Terry. Well, Miss Terry, I know you have a degree, but this is what's
That's
going
Dr.
on in your they label us from the cradle to the grave. And no matter what we do, no matter how much education we get, no matter how much validation we get, they're still going to try to label us. So we have to become people who get in positions of policy. And this is the thing that black people don't want to hear about Obama. He was not the president to come and change. He knew that he would not be able to put judges in place. He
No,
knew that. They would
no,
never let him do it. That Congress
no.
was never going to let it happen. But he changed policy. And the policy that he put in place is 40 and 50 years from now. They can't change it for 40, 50 years.
Yeah,
And he did do a lot of stuff. He did do a lot of stuff for us.
yeah, he
The
did.
prisons are being dismantled because of that man.
Yeah, he
The, the,
really
the
did.
parole system is being dismantled because of the policies that he put in place and because there are people that are carrying on them policies from state to state. So when I hear things, people telling me like, I don't even get into arguments with them. You vote for who you want
You
to, but
can't.
I don't want to hear it. I don't
You
want to
can't.
hear it when you
You
put him
can't.
back in office and he pisses all over your head and tells you it's raining.
Yeah, you can't really get into it with him, Corey, because you have to
They
have
don't listen.
you have to have been on the inside in order to understand how the rules of order work, how the language work, how tabling the discussion takes place, how they tried to shut down everything at the table on tabling of the discussion. And you know you have had to have been on the inside, sitting down at the table, making and creating legislation with people in order to understand how legislation
No,
work.
you don't really. No, you don't have to. I
Yeah,
beg to
I
differ.
mean, you
I
when
think
I
I
say this,
think if you're open minded, you have to become open minded.
no,
Beyond,
when
you
I'm
know, like
saying
when
this, listen to
everybody
what I'm saying.
when
Listen to what
everybody
I'm
got
saying.
woke, when everybody got all of a sudden woke, when
No,
everybody
no,
decided
no,
they was
that's
wake.
not what I'm saying. We're not talking about them woke motherfuckers. We talking about people who legitimately sit down at the table and know that there and there is not going to be the proper language into that legislation, how to bring that forward, right? This is what I'm saying. It can't be just anybody on the outside trying to tell somebody that's sitting down creating a legislation that they don't know what the hell they doing and they at the table.
You
You get
gotta
what I'm trying
be
to tell
you
you?
gotta be open. You gotta be open to. You can't ignore. Dr. Phil, he says it all the time. Can't fix what you don't acknowledge, right?
That's right. That's
So,
right.
so if you trying to fix a problem, but you don't want to see the problem, nothing's going to nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah.
You know, you got you have people who are creating policy who are being sidewinded by people who are in control of the mechanisms that would make that policy go forward, i.e., the judiciary system.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you got all the policy you want, but if I'm the judge and I don't give a flying flute about your policy, I'm gonna block you at every turn you can't got. And this is what people don't realize. This is what the last administration, 45's administration, rigged stacked the deck with the judiciary level.
Yeah.
So even though there's some good policy in place legislatively, because you had a lot of people out here who worked their assholes off on them Congresses and Senates floors and changed the way people are supposed to be, but you still got people that's blocking them.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know, I mean
I did. I had that issue. I had that issue.
that whole thing
I
that
was out
took
here.
place, that whole thing that took place in Congress with Marjorie Taylor Greene. First of all, she should have been walked right out of. You have a policy in place that keeps people from doing what she did, but you have leadership that says we don't give a shit. She can do whatever she want to do.
Yeah. Well, they told Donald Trump the same thing, and then he came and told us that they told him that he could
Yep.
shoot somebody in the middle of Sixth Ave. They told him that.
And nothing, and they
And
can't do
nothing
a
will
damn
never
thing to you.
and guess what? And nothing is happening to him.
Mitch McConnell told him that, and they won his ass back. I don't know that the man is going to be president again, but I know that if he does become president again, he'll never leave the White House again.
Yeah.
He'll never leave it again. They damn near had to drag his ass out of there last time, but
Yeah.
he's going to create a government where he will be president for life, and that's real stuff. And people are not paying attention.
I mean, but the man come up out of there with like 43 felonies and they talking about probation and shit. So
I don't even want a president that's on probation. Shit. They don't want. Listen. They don't want our men to come out of jail and work at McDonald's.
so I'm just saying, just on the straight to that alone. You feel me?
But now you could put a
So
felon in the White House and you done lock the. But the law is controlled by the people who create it, and they created laws to put us in prison. They
yeah,
made shit up just to put us in prison.
yeah,
They created laws to say we were wrong, and then they built prisons to validate the wrong that they said we were doing.
yeah, yeah. Well,
We is a
that's
national
all to validate robbing our land from the gate.
right.
So
Weed
they
is
had
a
to
G
create law after law after law after
right.
law. You get what I'm
Look,
saying?
Tosh, weed is
It's
weed
like
is
the
a
ultimate.
GNP.
Yeah, it's the
Weed is a
ultimate
gross national product now on the goddamn going
thing.
exchange, New York Stock Exchange. Weed is a gross, but not even. 15 years ago, they were still mass incarceration of people of color for moving weed. And
But I
now
told the Jamaicans way back when though that weed was gonna be legalized because just like everything else, when the black people start making money off of it, they gonna come and try to make their money off of it.
it's
And I
what they
try to tell
do.
them that, including rap. And I tried to tell them
It's what
because
they do.
rap was the same, had the same rap as weed
Hip
did. You get
hop,
what I'm saying?
hip hop
Yeah,
music. They
yeah. You
tried to,
remember?
they infiltrated us and they took it over. And look at the lives that they have destroyed.
I'm just
Where
saying.
do you think that money came from to buy drugs that the rappers is dying off of?
Yeah, I know.
Where you think fentanyl came from? Didn't come from our community. Hell, we didn't know what fentanyl was.
Uh-huh. And then hey Jamie. Look at Corey, there go Jamie.
I don't see
There
her yet. Hey,
go your girl.
Jamie.
You asked
Hey,
you
beautiful
asked
girl.
for it. There she go.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
she that's why I said she,
there needs to be more intentional conversations when we're at the table to where we don't sit there and get distracted. And that is the biggest weapon against equality is distraction.
yeah, well,
Because
it's
as soon as
intentional
it gets to a
distraction.
point, distractions, because as soon as
Yeah.
it gets to a point where we're making sense and we're making change, then you get this little garbage thrown out there to turn our eyes off the prize.
Well, you know what happens according to BF Skinner, because you smart girl. You know that
Mhm,
we have operant conditioning. And you know if it feels
mhm.
good, the chances are greater that we'll do it again. But if it feels bad, the chances are great that we won't. You get what I'm saying? So what
Maybe
happens in
not,
that?
because maybe
Yeah,
not, because these fools out here, people dying of fentanyl and they still buying it.
yeah,
So
but
maybe
that's
not.
because that's the good shit. That's the good shit. But wait a minute, you feel me?
It's
Because
wild,
that's
yeah.
how they mind work. You feel me? That's the good shit. But what happens according to sciences, mental sciences, is that the chances are greater that if it feel good, we'll do it again, right? So what they do is when it's starting to feel good, they break it and shut you all the way down and shut everything out and try to tear it up and raggedy it out. And what that does is it breaks your psyche, it breaks your spirit, and
Well,
it makes you
that's
a
what I.
little
That's
more relaxed about
it's
going
it's
forward. You get what I
it's
mean?
always it's always been. And see, this is the underlying thing. I'm just going to say specifically with black people is what I don't understand is it never freaking worked for us. Why do you keep allowing yourself to fall right back in that position?
It never
It
worked.
does not work for us. We
Yeah,
do the
yeah, it
same
doesn't work.
things. The definition of insanity, right? Doing the same damn thing, expecting a different result. So let's
Yeah,
go back to that. Let's go back to Skinner's little dog, right?
yeah, yeah.
Let's go
No,
back to
that's
they put
Pavlov's dog. Skinner
Pavlov's dog.
Skinner had the
Let's
rat. Remember?
let's go right. Skinner was the rat, Pavlov was the dog. So let's go back to the
Yeah,
little dog. Keep throwing shit in there. The dog keep coming. The dog will eat the shit.
yeah,
You throw it in there. The dog gonna keep on eating that damn stuff and gonna do everything you want it to do until you stop throwing that stuff in there.
yeah,
When you stop throwing that stuff in there, that dog becomes an enemy.
yeah. He becomes
The
vicious.
longer you deprive that dog of that treat, the more first the dog gonna be sad. Then the dog is gonna be like, "What the hell is going on?" Then the dog gonna be like, "Come over here, I dare you, come over here. If you ain't got a treat, I'm gonna tear your ass up." And this is the way I see our communities. We have to stop being satisfied with what people give us, and we have to make sure we have our own.
You know the
I've
mayor.
never been a proponent of welfare. I absolutely hate it.
The
Hate
mayor
welfare.
had told me one time, Corey,
Mhm.
in the process of doing this stuff, that I was the most dangerous activist in the community. And I asked him why. He said, because
Cause you ain't
you
want nothing.
I don't need nothing. That's what he told me.
Right.
Because you
Right.
you create your own finances. He said the only thing
Right.
you come in here for is for us to sign the fucking permit.
I was the same way in Albany. I promise you. You know, when
And that
everybody
and
else
that,
was
that's it.
writing up
Sign this
grants
permit.
and stuff like that, I was like, I don't want that. When they would
Nah.
say, "Oh, Corey, we'd like to put you up for an award," there are no trophies and awards and plaques in my house that'll tell you any of the work that I did in Albany. But if you go up to Albany and you walk the streets and you talk to the people that live in those communities, they will tell you who I am. And that's the only ones I need to tell me who I ain't need to marry to give me shit. Keep it. I don't want it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
I don't want them to give me no money because you give me the money, you're gonna control how I spend it.
Exactly. You gonna create how I move. If I
Right,
allow you to pay for it, you gonna tell me how to
right,
move. I don't want nothing from you
exactly.
except this permit, and I'm gonna follow the guidelines in this permit, so y'all don't come over here fucking with me.
Right,
You get what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
stay your distance, cause I'm gonna follow all the rules, and I did that for 16 years.
Mm.
I
It's
did that for
about getting a
16
seat. It's
years.
about getting a seat at the table and refusing to get up until you're
Yeah,
satisfied.
yeah, that's right.
I don't care if you
You
don't
can't
feed me.
you
I'm
can't
still
make
sitting there.
me. That's right. You can't make me stop. You can't make me not. You can't
Can't
make
stop,
me
won't stop.
for real. You can't. You can't.
Exactly.
Because I'm coming through. So you might well just open the door. Like, either open
And
the
let
door,
me in.
or I'm gonna kick it down.
And let
Like,
me in.
yeah, cause I'm coming
And
through.
I didn't come quiet. I didn't come
Yeah, I,
quiet.
I
I
I
was
never
like
have.
when I walked in the door, it was like, oh shit, here she go.
Yeah. No, they was
And
happy. After a while, Corey, you know what? Because you know how I look. I'm a curvy, girly girl. I'm always all cutie and shit. So when they see me, they would be stunned that I was actually the person that these people would be talking about. Like you, Taj B. It was stunned the people that I would actually be the person that everybody have, talked
oh,
about so much. It would be stunning. Like, you heard?
they knew who I was before I got to the door, and
Yeah,
like there would be one side that'd be like, oh shit, and then the other side would be like, oh shit,
that's right. That's
it's
right.
getting ready to get
That's right.
lit
It's
up in
on and
here,
popping in a minute.
And I'm
That's
not
right.
coming in there. I don't curb my mouth for y'all. I'm not curbing my mouth for y'all. I did not come play nice because what's
Yeah,
going on in my community ain't nice.
yeah. We can't play
You
nice.
know, and even in my work environments, I have been told, specifically in upstate New York, just be quiet, get past your probation,
They
don't
told me
say
I was too
nothing.
radical. You're too Tosh. They want to help you, but you're too radical.
I give. I mean, go ahead and fire. Go ahead and fire me. But this what you doing? Go ahead and fire me. But this what you doing? It ain't right, and it ain't gonna. It ain't
They
washing with
said
me.
they want to help you, but you're too radical.
We are who we are. We were built what we were built to do.
Who you
You
talking about?
know,
Somebody dying laughing? I said, well, I ain't gonna stop being who I am, so y'all might well go ahead and let this happen. Cause
it is what the hell it is.
y'all,
And I'm a proponent of the
if
truth.
if I
I
say
hate a
fix,
liar.
if I say fix this park, that's what I mean.
I want more than you fixing the park. I want the
No, see, but
jobs that's going to fix the park.
I was with the kid. Saying so all my advocating was for the children. You get what I'm saying? So
I,
if
I
I say fix this basketball court, I don't want to hear no question about fixing the basketball court. I
right,
don't want to hear nothing, because when I came in to it, the kids was in the middle of the street playing basketball and doing everything. Why? Because it wasn't even a park for them to play with or play
right.
at. So I'm not trying
We
to
got
hear,
parks,
we
but
not
then we get
arguing
the park.
about building no park.
We get the parks, Tasha, but we don't get the jobs for the fathers that need to be fixing these parks. So these same fathers, after the kids leave the park in the daytime, these fathers is going out to the park peddling their drugs and shit and getting shot in these same parks that we haven't built.
Oh, oh,
I
I'm
want
trying to
more.
tell you.
I want more than the park. I want the jobs that build the fucking park,
Yo,
that
Corey, I
clean the
sat
park.
down with the whole entire community and put together what they call a sustainable master plan. You know
Yep.
who fought me, right? The
Mm-hmm.
black folks.
Mm-hmm.
I put a whole sustainable master plan together, got a whole major group to come in to sit down with us to do a sustainable master plan. And the black folks fought me like hell. And I'm looking at them
Okay,
like, I'm
so
looking
who
out for
built that?
y'all.
Who built that group? Did you invite the black people that you were going to help to the
Everybody.
table to create
Everybody.
that group?
They created it. It was breakaway groups where everybody had a certain section of the community. We did a whole breakaway group. But what happened is that A lot of times we don't want us to get accredited, and I keep trying to tell them I don't care about credited. I care about getting a job done. You get what I'm saying? Like y'all worrying about who name gonna be on it, but I don't worry about that. I worry about getting the job done because I need the job to get done so that I can move on to the next thing. I don't like to leave this loose and then I got to go over here and do this right here because then this shit over here gonna worry me because something's still loose over there. You get what I'm saying? I'm one of those type of people. Let's tie this up, get that done with, move on to the next thing. Like we ain't gonna be here arguing for 20 years and shit about some stuff that we know we could have did yesterday. And so when I find that inside the community is where you find me get a little bit of aggravated. Excuse me, Corey. I'm sitting in
Well,
this air conditioner.
with any plan, especially a major plan that requires massive investment from all levels of stakeholders, you're going to get pushback. I mean, you're going to get pushback if you a boss in a
I, I'm
job.
I'm I'm I'm
There's
aware.
always going to be somebody that's not happy.
That
The
illuminated
thing is
festival
to
that y'all
the
like
thing
so
is
much.
to the thing is to control the flow of the information so that even the person that's unhappy can see the benefit in what is being planned.
Oh, they
And
see it now.
in order to control the flow, look,
Billy
you
Smith.
you you got
Hold on, Dr. Terry. It says,
mhm.
uh, Billy Smith said, Dr. Terry, I'm older and have been silent most of my life. I have joined a fraternity that is outspoken and active in the community. I enjoy it, but I'm still quiet. How do I break out of this?
Let me answer that question. So you know Billy because we are brother and sister. You know that I'm well aware of that community. Um and we are of a certain age. We both are. The key to that is to be an individual in spite of the label and in spite of the fraternity that you're a part of. You got to remember that you're an individual and you got to let your voice matter.
Yep.
When I started my group in Albany, I tried to start it within the church walls because I was very churchy at the time. And I
Yes.
tried to start it with the church walls, and the pastor didn't want that. The pastor of the church that I was going to at the time did not want that. And he told me, he's like, well, I'll see if I want to sanction it, but if not, you're going to have to drop it. And I was like, looked around at who the F he
Yeah, like
talking
who he
to?
talking to. That's right.
Who
Who
is
you
he
talking
talking to?
to?
Because I'm
What
going to
God
do
impressed
this.
on my heart. That's
I'm
right.
going to do this regardless of whether you sanction it or not. So
That's right.
here's the thing, Dr. Smith. What you really have to invest in and believe in is what you as an individual bring to the table and how much voice your voice can impact what you want to do in that community about making some change. You're going to have to speak up. You can't be quiet. Change is not quiet. Quiet is sneaky.
Yep.
Change ain't quiet. One
Quiet
thing
and
we can
sneaky.
say,
Yep.
we can say all we want to. Personally, Obama's a quiet man, right? He's not a loud, vociferous man. But when he sought to get in that White House, you heard him.
Yep. He got loud.
He made himself known,
Yep.
and he was a policymaker. Okay, when Trump wanted, always been loud. He always been loud and ridiculous and reckless, and that's why the Republicans like him,
Yep.
because he's loud, ridiculous, reckless, and don't give a shit about nobody else.
Yep.
You do whatever you want to do, and send me to jail. I don't care. I'm gonna still do what I'm gonna do and say what I'm gonna say. So the best way to overcome and break out of that is to pay attention to your voice and what your voice changes. Start speaking up. And if you really have a voice for change, it's gonna happen. You gonna change it. I tell people all the time, if you were positioned to paint a stroke, don't worry. God already gonna use you.
Yep.
You know,
Amen. Yep.
you're already positioned to be used. You can't even when I knew when my calling came, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I couldn't concentrate on nothing. I started getting sores on my face and stuff. That was God saying, pay attention. Remember Job?
Yep.
Remember Job's story?
Yep. Yep.
God was proud of Job because Job said, I don't give a damn. I'm still going to do what he told me to do. So
No
once you
matter.
make up
That's
your
right. No
mind,
matter what you take
no
from
matter
me,
what,
no
no
matter
matter
what you
what,
do. That's
no
right.
matter what,
That's right.
um, every great person in the Bible had a gift, and a lot of their gifts were noisy.
Like,
They didn't just sit on it. They got out there
I've
and they made it known.
been
This is
like
what
John
we're
the
gonna do.
Baptist my whole life.
Oh, John the Baptist, that's my dude.
I-
John and kid, John will cut
I'm
your
just,
ear off. John will cut your ear off. He ain't care. So I
yeah.
mean, I think it's worthwhile, Billy, for you. He said, I remember Joe, great advice. I actually went behind their backs and I'm doing them for the rest of it. There you go. There
See?
you go. There you go. And then the next time do a march up MLK Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? Get out there and talk to these young people. Make them aware that they are our voice too. Give them some type of substance to lean back on, because right now our communities are in trouble.
Yeah, I went and poured all my anointing on the children. You know that. I went to go and scoop the
Mhm.
kids up real quick. Me and the kids worked magic like woo, woo, woo. Because they kept
I
blaming the kids. The adults kept blaming it on the children. And I couldn't figure out how the fuck is it the kids' fault?
One of my older
So I
girls
went
that
out there with the kids. Wait a minute, Corey. So I went out there with the kids, and me and the kids had showed them that it ain't us. It ain't us. Me and the kids showed them it ain't us.
my one of my older girls that I raised, because
That's y'all.
I also raised quite a few children, and one of my older girls who is a nurse, if you talk to her, she'll say everything I am is because of this lady right here, which is a beautiful thing, but everything she is because of God. Um, she's on her way to Palestine. I'm scared to death for her, but I know this is her destination. I was scared to death when she was out there in them streets, after the George Floyd murder, and she was out there in the streets, and she called me live, and as they were going through them streets in Albany, and they threw the tear gas at them, and I remember back in 2000 and 10 and 2011, when we were building, we were the 99 versus the 1%, and they threw tear gas and they tore down those shanty towns that we were building, protesting 99, the 1% that was taking everything while we were doing 99% of the work. um it's dangerous out there. And if you're going to have a voice, you got to be prepared for the negativity that's going to, you're not going to get out there, and it's going to be all rose colored glasses. You come up with a plan and you get out there and everybody's kumbaya, and that shit don't happen,
You
even
know
with
what
the
I want
best
to
of
say though?
community.
I want to say to Billy Smith is that DNA has memory. Dr. Terry, you know this to be a fact as a doctor. DNA has memory. See,
Hmm.
I was ingested in enclosed and encased in that year of 68. So everything that was being felt from Martin and Malcolm and everything, you get what I'm saying? Mandela, all that was all on me. I came into the world with all that on me. You get what I'm saying? Like that was
Hmm.
already melded and welded to my DNA coming in the door. So I couldn't be no less than what I was in
The what?
being fertilized in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
I
I'm
was
going
never
off
gonna
camera for just a second.
I was never gonna be less than what I was fertilized in. And what I was fertilized in was the full-fledged fight, the onslaught of let's get it. And so
Well,
you never see me back down when it comes to stuff like this. You get what I'm saying? And I
I
try to
come
give
from
that to the kids.
I come from a long line of
I will
advocacy
sweat
of
that
people
in.
who I come from a long line of people who were advocates. My mother, my
There you go.
grandfather,
It's in
you
you.
know, And it was all my mother instilled in me that the squeaky wheel ain't gonna get no grease.
Yeah.
And in telling me that she created a monster. You know, Tasha, you know me 30 years now.
Man, my
You know
ass.
me, more than 30, greater than 30 years
Man,
now, and
man.
I've always said exactly what the freak I'm gonna say.
Wait, but you don't
And
know I'm laughing right now, Corey, Dr. Terry, because you over there sitting on that porch, and I remember when that used to be me and you sitting next to each other, clown.
on a stoop in the city, but we didn't just clown, we also had
Yeah,
plans.
yeah, we had
We also
plans.
had
That's right.
plans. We also had plans. I remember I still got the little book that I wrote down some of my plans in, like I'm gonna buy my house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a red Jeep. I actually had
I
a red Jeep.
remember I was
A
sitting there with you talking, I'm gonna buy that house right there.
candy apple, and I brought that house.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
sat right there,
You did.
and I brought that. The first house I brought was that house. I looked across the street and said, "My son going to play in that house over there."
Yeah.
You know, making the decision to be a part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Um, just a little bit of personalization for anybody who's listening. Um, Almost a year ago today, I experienced what I call the tsunami of my life. And I've had quite a few um, blizzards and tornadoes and everything, but the tsunami came on January 21st of 2024, when my life took a 360-degree turn. Now, I'm going to say 780, because that shit flipped over backwards, frontwards, upside down, any which way you could take it. And I had just started my doctoral program. I was in an accelerated program. I was about a month and a half in, and life came lifing in a big way. And my life continued to be in a topsy-turvy turmoil, but somehow I came out of that program not only successfully completing it, but with a summa cum laude grade.
It's doctor actually. That's why I put that picture up there. He's my little
I'm a
bitch.
doc.
I know which
Doctor
one I'm gonna pick.
actually.
That's right.
And I remember sitting in the back of the private detective's car, and writing my paper on my phone. You know, getting my paper done. I mean, one of our first papers was called "Boldly Go."
Yeah.
I don't even want to tell you what that shit was about. I'm trying to forget it in my mind, but we had to do this paper called Boldly Go, and we were all scared shitless about this paper because there were so many stipulations on it and everything, and you really couldn't figure it out. But it was the first paper that I had to do, and I got an A on that paper, and I wrote that paper while I was looking for my husband, who disappeared while we were on vacation. Was disappeared for 5 days under strenuous circumstances, and I wrote that paper. So I'm gonna tell you something, that if you take that stress in your life, Miss Tubman, Dr. King, and I'm not comparing myself to these people. I'm saying that in
I
their
do.
most stressed,
I do.
in their most stressed out moments, when the stress was at its highest level, when it felt like nothing was working, when it felt like everybody was against them, when it feels like everything is against you, get your ass up and do something. Do something. Be an agent of change. I could have laid down. I could have gave up. I don't know where this doctorate is going, but I got a feeling. I
God,
already know my feet.
God
I
already
already
got a
know my
plan.
feet print. I already know my feet footprint is made and settled. I got footprint in this place. I'm not going to be forgotten ever. When they asked me, Corey, what are you going to do with that doctorate? I said, it's going to look good on my obituary.
That's right. Amen. That's
My
right.
obituary is good, because one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life,
Judge me by my
It's
works.
to some. It's for somebody to have an obituary that says absolutely nothing about who the hell they
That's
were.
right. Judge me by my works. Well, Corey, you know
Y'all going my
my
obituary gonna be a whole book.
time is my time is running down, but I want them to be able to reach you. Did you create your YouTube channel? Do you have your channel
I
up? Or
have not yet, but it is. I have not yet, but Miss Tasha is going to be helping me forthcoming. I supposed to have been done this. People
yeah,
have
because
been
they can
looking for
really
me to
use
do
your
it.
advice. Yeah, they
I'm
need
in the
you out
I'm in the process of finding a co-writer and an editor to tell my story because enough people have told me that my story is impactful, and
here. Yeah,
I'm changing the narrative.
you have a very wonderful
I
story.
don't speak the same language as everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
I give people pause because I challenge people to first of all, be truthful. Can't stand a liar.
Yep.
I am a proponent of the truth. I'ma always tell you the truth, even if it hurts me and even if it hurts
It
you.
hurts you. That's right. Amen.
I'm one
That's
of
right.
those nurses. I'm the
That's
nurse
right.
that's going to come in the room and tell you, listen, if you don't stop drinking, you're going to die. Period.
That's that.
Period. I'm the doctor who's going to come in the room and tell you, listen, you have got to get a handle on your weight or you're going to die. I'm
Yeah,
going to tell you the truth. We
yeah.
don't like to tell the truth. We want to be nice,
I do.
Tasha. We want to always be nice. We want to always tell
I'm a
people,
person that to tell the truth. I make a lot of enemies telling the truth.
right, palpable. I don't make it palpable. I'm not going to spoon feed you this shit. You need to hear what it is. One of the things I want to leave you with is Trump cannot be our president again. Y'all
Well,
need to get out there and vote. You need
wait.
to get out there and vote. Tell your people to vote. Raise your children to vote. Tell your kids. No, I ain't gonna tell your kids to lie about their age. Get every 18-year-old you can find and take them up to that polling booth. And while you're taking them up to that polling booth, instill in them a mindset of we have got to be in control of our lives. You can't put this slave master, this overseer back in the White House.
Yeah,
That's one. That's one. Because it's not because of him. I'm not scared of Trump. I'm scared of the people that back Trump,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
Mitch O'Connell and those guys.
yeah,
Those people are the ones creating the policy. They're the ones who putting those judges in seats and stuff. You
yeah.
can't let that continue to happen. Two, stop killing each other. Stop killing each other. It's stupid. It's retarded. Nobody's mother gave you permission to kill their child. Stop doing that. I'm sending out condolences to my good girlfriend whose daughter, they shot up her house. They shot up her house and killed her. She lost one daughter 4 years ago, and the other daughter was killed in a drive-by shooting. I think it was meant for the wrong house.
Yeah.
Um, Dr. Terry, why worry and stress? We can pray. We can't control the situation. Deal with it. Bullshit. You talking to the wrong one with that.
Yeah,
We
because
can change.
we sure can. We
We
sure
sure
can.
can change.
We
I
sure
beg
can.
your pardon, Billy. We can change
That
anything
ain't
that
Billy.
we
That's
set our
somebody
mind.
else. Y. Smith.
Oh, I don't know who that is, but we can absolutely change anything we put our mindset to change it. You just have to give voice to what you want to change.
That's right. You got to
You
speak it
know,
into.
every powerful movement started with a thought.
Yep.
Every powerful movement started with a thought. You know,
Definitely, life and death is in the power of the
it
tongue.
wasn't Rosa
And
who sat
you
down on that
definitely
bus.
have to speak it into existence.
Right.
Absolutely.
It wasn't Rosa that sat down on that bus. It was a 15-year-old girl 2 years earlier who sat down on the bus and said, I ain't moving.
And you know the funny part about that pray situation is God said pray, but what God also says is that if you take a step, I'll take five on your behalf.
Right.
So
And prayer
we
without
have to
action ain't
learn.
nothing but you
Yeah,
talking.
for real.
Prayer
We
without
have to
action ain't nothing but
learn
you talking.
that when
Running
God
your
give
mouth.
it to us, we have to learn that when God give it to us, that we have to actually be in action with it. We can't just be stagnant. That's like burying your coins.
Right.
So, but Corey, I gotta go because I'm over schedule.
Oh, this was all
I
this
wish
was
I could do this.
awesome.
I'm telling you, I
We
wish I
knew
could
this.
really,
We knew that. We knew that we wasn't gonna
man.
want to get off. We knew this.
I know, but I love you so
Thank you for
much.
giving the opportunity to share my views.
How can the
And
people reach you before we hang up? How can they get in
you can
contact?
reach me at my email is coco9 62@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, Dr. Corrie Terry, Corrie Terry on Facebook and Instagram. Come through. That YouTube channel is going to be up in the next couple of weeks. I'm
All
going to be
right. That's
posting.
right. That's right.
I'm going to be posting how you can get in touch with me, and how I'm looking for guests. I'm looking for people to come on, like-minded, not always like-minded people, but people who have a voice and want to be heard. My table is going to be real talk with Corrie at the table of truth. Remember that,
Okay.
real talk with Corrie at the table of truth, with Dr. Corrie at the table of truth. Peace,
Dr.
guys. Thanks
Corey,
for
I
tuning
thank you
in.
so much. Yeah, thank you for
Much
coming through. I
love.
appreciate
Much
you.
love.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
love you, Tosh. I'll talk to you soon, babe.
Yes, I love you. Okay, we gotta, y'all know, you're gonna be cussing me out over at this station in a minute because I'm over. Thank you, Dr. Corrie Terry. Thank you to all the guests that tuned in for Dr. Terry, because she is so brilliant. You guys have no idea. Like she said, we have been friends for 30 years, and we've gone from both sitting on the stoop with each other, clowning and making our plans in life, to this right here, to what you guys are seeing us doing right now. So it's just so thankful to have her all these years later. And we'll see you next weekend, because I have another doctor, Dr. Tissa Muhammad, coming in, who's a herbalist and a part of Fitness Wellness Group. So tune in to Dr. Sweet.
Fresh out of the freezer. Fresh, guess I was freezed up. Fresh out of the deeper freezer, cause I'm deeper than any voice on speakers. I can't hear y'all haters, you gotta speak up. I don't need to slow down, I need to speed up. Anonymous activity.